This is Canon's new N500, and I think it produces some of the best images of any PTZ camera on the market today under £10,000. If there was a PTZ party for major camera manufacturers, Canon haven't just turned up late, they've started their own party next door. When I first saw the specifications for the N500, I wasn't really that impressed. It lacks the 12GB SDI that Panasonic have with the UE150 and UE100, so you can't do 4K 50 or 60p. It also doesn't have the zoom range of those two cameras. This has got a 15 times zoom compared with a 20 times on the UE150 and a 24 times on the UE100. But a camera isn't just about specifications, and when I saw the pictures that this was producing, I realised that it was really quite special. Canon were late to the PTZ party because they were in the library studying how to make the output of their camera look better than everybody else's. Now, it's a 1-inch sensor in the N500, which may not sound very big, but actually for PTZ cameras, that's as big as the sensors come. And it's a bit of a bargain because for 1-inch sensor cameras, it's also the lowest cost of all of the crowd on the market. So let's look at how the features compare to the other cameras in that category. All PTZ cameras have autofocus, but Canon have taken theirs a stage further. So we've now got face detection and eye detection. They've taken their sophisticated dual pixel hybrid system from their Cinema EOS line of cameras, which has already been tried and tested in the market, and brought it into the PTZ world, and the results are really effective. As well as 3GB SDI and HDMI UHD at up to 30 frames a second, the N500 also outputs NDI HX2. Now, this is a relatively new format which outputs UHD over a standard computer network at quite low latency, only a couple of frames. So this makes it perfect for pumping your video around a standard IT infrastructure in 4K. Most other camera manufacturers will charge you over £250 to unlock this feature, but the N500 and the smaller camera, the N300 from Canon, both give it to you as standard with the cameras. The NDI HX2 from the N500 isn't quite the same quality that you get with the full NDI built into Bird Dog cameras or the Panasonic UE100. It's got slightly more latency too, but then again, it won't overwhelm a shared network, and it can be used with a variety of production equipment, including Nutex TriCasters, Epiphan Pearl 2s, Wirecast or vMix software, even used with the free OBS software, and it works with Microsoft Teams and Zoom. You can also use a free utility on Mac or PC as a monitor, so just using a standard computer, you can see it on any monitor on the same network. The 15 times zoom is the 35mm equivalent of 25 to 380, and it ramps from 2.8 to 4.5 across that range. There's a digital extender which will give you a lossless 30 times in HD or 20 times in UHD. Now this means the camera is very wide for a PTZ. In fact, it's the second widest in the whole market. The only one wider than this is the Panasonic UE150, and the 15 times range or 20 times with the extender will be suitable for all but the very largest of venue. The combination of the 1-inch sensor plus its relatively low 10 megapixel resolution means that the N500 is actually very good in low light, which is unlike the vast majority of PTZ cameras. Also, it has the ability to shoot in Canon log, which is great for those high dynamic range scenes you sometimes have trouble shooting with other PTZs. Most PTZs have an audio input. All the ones I've seen up until now have got a 3.5 stereo mini jack input, which of course is unbalanced. Now Canon again have gone a step further with the N500, and we get XLR inputs. Now these can even have phantom power, which means that the audio you get with this camera is as good as the pictures. What separates the major manufacturers' PTZ cameras from the sort of conference and AV level cameras is not just the quality of their video output, but also the sophistication of their software interfaces. Now, up until now, Panasonic have produced my favourite software interface for controlling their cameras. But Canon come really close in their first outing, and their software is very user-friendly, especially for people like me who are used to standard camera menus. Everything seems to be laid out in the right sort of place, and it has intuitive features like you can touch the image where you want the focus to go, and it will lock onto whatever face you've touched, lock onto the eyes or face. You can also touch to zoom, so if you touch an area of the image, it will pan the camera so that becomes the center of the image. This is really intuitive when you use the software on an iPad or tablet PC. As well as 100 different preset positions, the N500 also has 10 tracing memories. Now, this is like choreography for cameras. An operator can record a series of movements which can last up to 5 minutes. So you can pan, tilt, zoom, move the camera, and it will replay exactly what you've done just at the touch of a button. Most PTZ operators I know would much rather use a joystick to control the camera rather than a software interface. You can be more subtle with it. Here, Canon have their RCIP100 controller. As you can see, we've got a zoom rocker, there's some user switches which you can program to do what you want. This 7-inch touchscreen will let you get into the menus of the cameras much more quickly than you can with sort of rotary switches. This single controller can control up to 100 cameras over IP. Now, you don't just have to go for the Canon controller. Danish manufacturer Skarhøj have a series of different camera controllers that you can use with multiple cameras or even multiple makes of cameras. So you can have a couple of Sonys, a couple of Canon, and a couple of Panasonics all on the same network. The Skarhøj controllers are very flexible, and they'll even control other items like a Blackmagic Atom. If your production needs 12 gig SDI, then you have to be looking at Panasonic's UE100 or UE150 cameras. However, for everybody else, this camera with its excellent low light abilities, its 3 gig SDI, the NDI HX2 and the HDMI at up to 30 frames a second in UHD is certainly one that should be on your radar. There's a smaller sibling from Canon as well, the N300, and we'll be covering that in a later video. So if you've got any comments or if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comment field below. Also, if you want to buy an N500, please head across to proav.co.uk, where I'm sure we can help you with that. Thank you very much for watching. See you again soon.